policymakers, with this, I hope it's coming, the school itself. I think the school parents are the major, they'll say, and because schools, it's a for profits situation. So, and it is he who pays the piper, who dictates the tune. So that school that I spoke of, the parents will come and they'll beat up a teacher, and the principal will apologize to the parents. And the teacher who has been beaten up, there's no recourse for action. So and so what does it do? It just creates a cycle of people just doing whatever they like, and the society is breaking down and everything is going crazy. So regulators have a place to clearly define or to articulate this is what is acceptable as celebrations within the jurisdictions of the school, so that everybody can live by it and work with it. And so we don't have that kind of eyesore that will make us cringe as we are watching, like, what are we doing? I mean, is this in my own life?
And they can control which organization or school a child is exposed to at any time, if parents are not complicit. And so our parents need to rise up and be the moral signpost for their children. Second is the institution, either the regulator, the government. Our government need to sit up, because the generations that we take over from us are not being well catered for, mentally, emotionally, educationally, and otherwise. So there is need for them to sit up and do what is needful, not just for today, but for tomorrow. The third is the school themselves. Pastor Banjo has spoken about that, and I will just say that the school, even though the regulator can regulate them, but the school themselves need to regulate themselves. But unfortunately, in our climate today, most of these private schools, the private school is the one that is most attended nowadays because of the failed system in our education. So many of the people that have set up the private schools, and so you can see that it's like destroying the educational system, the public school, which many of us went to, and now using the same money that is stolen to now start developing private school where our children are not being well brought up. So the schools need to sit up and look at the life of the, rather than profit, like Pastor Yetunde said. Because many of them are pursuing money. They are not pursuing the next. The fourth is that the religious organizations also need to sit up, because they are one of the moral molders. Unfortunately, in our climate today, really are overboard. They don't care about children. They don't care about next generation. They care about their pockets. Many of them, what they do nowadays is to preach prosperity rather than morals. And so they also need to sit up so that they know that tomorrow, those who are street hawkers, how will they be able to take over? So that's very important. Wherever we go, show examples, demonstrate good character. We need to compete well and be able to do what is right. All these molders that I've mentioned, they are the one that is responsible for teaching children what we call life skills. And this life skill can be taught at any level, practically or otherwise. If we keep doing that, if the child turn to any of these molders, they keep hearing the same thing, they will become better. There's no way that child will not change if what the child is hearing is positive. And if it's negative, that child will also become negative. So that's what I would just say based on what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss. Your this every one of us, the comments on on social media, on the video itself, people are outraged. People are appalled. Solutions. What should happen? What should we do? How should we react to this? How
society has become, governance, legislature, judiciary, like everybody. So I think that, again, I don't want to repeat things that my resource persons have shared, but all that they have shared and more is really what we will do. And we cannot say, because we can't do it all at once, we can't throw our hands up and give up. Having what
recording in progress.
Well, the end of the story. This was I think 2 months, about 2 months to our external A-level exams. But the principal took a stand, okay? Sent anybody that was indicated to have been at that party away from the boarding house, including the final year students. They had to be resuming to school from home. And the punishment after that was, when they come to school, they won't go to classes, so they were not allowed to go to classes. So they will go to the sports center. They were going to dig pit, useless pit. Not that pit was when they would dig the pit, ask him to close it back. Now, there was accountability. That's what I was saying here. Even some of the parents, the school summoned parents. Well, in this one now, that the parent in the video, you will see that it is said just like
recording in progress.
I told the story. That means you also didn't hear the story. The principal, people were
because if it was the PTA truly that actually together that parent or this and that, there's nothing to refer if there's nothing. It's just air. So in this case, I think that it would be a good reason for people to begin to take those things seriously. But I doubt that in this case, tangible of lasting effect in terms of cost. For me, the effort, the audacity means that they knew that from a shake, they knew that they could get away with it.
Well, okay. Now, for us now, for our programming here, for slow parenting, what should we be saying to parents? Mrs. Banjo.
Okay. Parents, right?
Yes.
So what should we do this program?
No, on this program, what should we be saying to parents now? Our message to parents now on this program.
Well, our message to parents still remains the same. I think often at the end of the program, we say something about something to parents.
Yes.
Parents are first educators of their children. They are the role models. They are the ones who set standards to their children and hold these children accountable to those values. I remember back in the day, children have always been children. Children to see what they can get away with at any point in time. Even when we were in the boarding school, there were some things I would say to myself that I would engage in with, peers. Inside my heart of hearts, I know that my parents must not hear, because if here, I'm a goner. Even though we will do those things, we knew that our parents had a way of holding us accountable. Even while we were doing misdemeanors or misbehaving, we knew that our parents were not in line with those things. They would not approve. I remember back in the day, some parents would come to school if their children misbehaved, the parents will come to school and, they should know that they communicate with their children. They know that they're these days when it comes to discipline is in the school space in Nigeria. The schools where kids are going, it's the less privilege to go to public schools. Even less if they are struggling to take their children to private because they know that the standard of education in public schools is atrocious. So parents should be the ones who will, we can say regulators, we can say school. Listen, school dances to the tune, private schools dance to the tune of the parents because they want to bring the money. Can you go and you're charging schools of 3 million and you'll be castigating the parents? Who's going to bring 3 million? You will not get the parents. You will do what the parents want, especially with parents who are so permissive. You will be like, okay. So when it comes to, when we are depending totally on regulators to regulate, yes, they can put the law there, but if they don't enforce, it's as bad as when it comes to things like celebration, because I keep going that celebration is the beginning of action. When it comes to celebrations, I think there should be, it should be codified and say that this is the expectation when it comes to celebrations in schools. This is not acceptable, that's acceptable by law. Let's have it articulated there. But it's up to the school to be able to uphold it. Will the school uphold it? I don't know. Yours is as good as mine. But then it still comes down to parents. Parents, are you ready and willing to allow your children to live lives of discipline? Later in future, they will not be the ones that will cause you pain and sorrow. So it's important for us to say, okay, what I'm allowing today, what I'm enabling today, what I'm approving today, where can it lead to in the future? We have a stronger previous generation because we had parents who made their expectations very clear to us. They're very clear. Go to school, you have to, like Mrs. Ayokpali said, Omoluabi culture. When you're there, don't do this, don't do that. Remember the child of who you are. Remember that statement. Remember the child of who you are. And we went out, even though we behaved, we would say, my parents must not hear. Except parents can go back a place where they tell their children, these are boundaries. They set boundaries. They make them very clear to the children. And when children flout those boundaries, push them, they apply some consequences right away because parents, we're the molders of the next generation. And if we're molding nothing, other people will mold them for us. We may not like what we want, what we get. So it still goes back to us, holding our children accountable, and we also holding ourselves accountable as parents. What do I agree? What do I approve? What am I allowing children to do? So those are very important. So until parents, grasp that, before we can have a change in the culture that's permeating our society.
Thank you so very
Thank
much,
you.
Ms. Banjo. Well, you've heard it, people. Well, this is one of the many stories that we have in the society today in relation to indulging children, parents indulging their children to aspire to things that they oughtn't be aspiring to at a particular point in time. We've said celebrations are a good thing, okay? Your child has excelled in one area. It makes sense to celebrate the child. It makes sense to let the child celebrate with his or her friends, his or her siblings. It makes sense. But let us be decent, even if it's just for the issue of decency, even if just for the issue of letting the children have a good sense of timing and value. Timing and value. Okay? If you own a Porsche, if you don't own a Lamborghini, if you own and you are taking your child to school, a school celebration for a graduation ceremony, it's not a bad thing. That's what you own, that's what you have. You drop the child. or if you are attending, you park the car, you drop the car, you brought it to school. So don't have any understanding that we are knocking people because they have money or they don't. No, the point is here. Why do you sit? It doesn't help the society. It doesn't help the school authorities. It doesn't help the next generation of the students left school to see the graduating students arrive the way they arrived graduation. Some of them cannot afford those. Some of their parents cannot afford. Some of the teachers cannot. Most of the teachers knocking them to train your children, bring your children up to know your family value, your traditional value, your cultural value, the ethical values in the society. If we say there are no ethics, there's no value, whose fault? The parents. Who makes up the society? You are responsible for bringing your children up, even when to celebration. It's not everything you have money you should buy. It's not everything you have money to buy when your children ask for that you should buy for them. Let us imbibe a culture for valuing things, for crawling before walking, before running, before speeding. This whole idea of, oh, well, I can do it, just ahead with it. It's not helping the society. Today, we are blaming the politicians for immoral, some money that we mentioned from college. What would they do? What would they do going for a child? That you can afford it doesn't mean that that child would actually be able to afford it when it comes to him or how you present material things to your children. It's important. Let them value things. Present value to them. And as you do that, they probably will give you peace in your old age. Trend has a lot of, unpleasant outcomes that could come out of it. And you don't want to know what those are going forward. You don't want to experience them. Let us be our brother's keeper, even if not for any other thing. Those teachers, those